I'm the Reverend Tom Rosiello, Minister of the Fellowship, and this morning we're going to lift our spirits. We're going to gather in song. It's number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, and we'll repeat the two last verses in Spanish. But if you want to move around and not look at your books, all the words are going to be on the screen, and I know you know them. And Marjorie Burren and Malcolm Halliday are going to help lead us in song. So if you're able, rise in body or spirit and join in this gathering song.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice. And now in Spanish, two verses. No tengas miedo cambiar. No tengas miedo cambiar. Es hoy un día muy feliz. No tengo miedo a cambiar. Ven, ven, alégrate hoy. Ven, ven, alégrate hoy. Es hoy un día muy feliz. Ven, ven, alégrate. Please be seated. As we do every week, in good times and in times of struggle, we come together as one by lighting a single flame. As Marjorie lights our chalice, hear these words. We light this flame for all the flames that did not die, for the flames that burn in the hearts of the women of our history and guided them to do the work of love and justice. Many did not see their dream become a reality, but the flame did not go out. It has been passed on from generation to generation, and now to us. On this week, when we celebrate International Women's Day, we light our flame with a spark from theirs. This is the flame that rises again and again in the women of our faith tradition. We have brought and continue to bring the light of justice, the light of love, the light of equality and of peace to their communities, in their world, in their time. You're on. No more lights.
Okay, welcome, bienvenidos to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende. My name is Marjorie Burren, and I will be our service leader today. We are located in the lands of the Chichimeca, Otomi, and Navajo peoples, and we are making community by Zoom across Mexico, Canada, and the US. Welcome, all of you joining us today, wherever you are, whatever your religious background or lack of one, and whoever you love. Thank you for making community together online and in person. You're all welcome here, regardless of your religious background, where you come from, your gender identity, or who you love. You can bring your whole self here. And now some announcements. Sorry, this is the boring part, but there's more to come. After the service, those on Zoom are invited to stay connected and visit with others in the main room for discussion. Those who are with us here at the Aldea, join us for coffee and cookies downstairs. If you have any visitors here today, would you please rise or raise your hand so that we can greet you at coffee? Oh, I see a few timid ones, yes. Welcome, welcome, bienvenidos. Lovely to have you. And if you are a visitor on Zoom, please write your name and where you are from into the chat, and we will say hello later. We do record our Sundays in-person services, thanks to the little team of angels we have back there at the table. Just go to... Yes. Just go to youtube.com and type in UUFSMA to access the great wealth of recordings that we've collected there. Finally, please check your order of service on our website, UUFSMA.org, and you'll see the various events that are offered by the fellowship and how to become a member. And please note, part 1 of our annual meeting is next Sunday. Okay, so much for the boring part. Not boring, it's all necessary. So as many of you know, March is Women's History Month. And I find that when I think about women's history, I have a variety of emotions, from joy, pride, horror, shock, dismay, and everything in between. We've come so far in so many ways, but we still have many hills to climb. As to my own journey, I feel very fortunate to have been born a woman in the 20th century in the United States, because when I was an actress, and that's what we were called back then, casting was done more traditionally than it is now. For instance, I recently saw a production of 1776 on Broadway, and our founding fathers were played mostly by Native American and Latin Asian women, but not in my time. So if they wanted an actress to play a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, it would be me, and I would not be competing with a man for the role. I later went on to have my own presentation skills consulting business, and I got to tell men what to do. High-powered men, presidents, CEOs, project managers, architectural geniuses. I got to tell them what to do, and I know that in a different time, and perhaps in a different country, I might possibly have been beheaded or burned at the stake. So I was at times what you could call a difficult woman. Isn't that what men call us when they don't like us opening our mouths? Difficult, aggressive, bitchy, even worse? Oh, yes, much worse. Well, Jane Goodall, the renowned primatologist, said, "It's easy to be a difficult woman. That's why there's so many of us." But even though I was fortunate, I must still recognize in horror the plight of women in the past and all around the world. I think of those 2 women from last week's sermon whose journey we followed as they tried to migrate to the United States, one of them losing both her legs along the way. And I rejoice to hear about all the wonderful women who selflessly helped them along their journey. Women's history. How much of it do we really know? How much has been lost to the world? Last May, if you remember, I came here as Olympia Brown, the first woman minister of any denomination in the United States, ordained in 1863. And before Tom introduced me to her, I really knew very little, almost nothing about her. When I visited the Museum of Women in the Arts in DC, and I, who know art history, was amazed how many women artists were there that I really knew little about. What about the amazing, brilliant women who contributed to the American space program? Were it not for the movie Hidden Figures, would any of us have known their names or who they were? Chris is sadly shaking her head. Virginia Woolf once wrote, the great English writer, "What if Shakespeare had a sister, equally talented, equally gifted? Any woman born with a great talent in the 16th century would certainly have gone crazy, shot herself, or ended her days in some lonely cottage, half witch, half wizard, feared and mocked at. And even if she had been published and performed, there would have been no women in her plays, because back in the 16th and 17th century, women were not allowed on the stage. Would we even know of her?" In our music program today, performed by one of our other angels, Paula, she picked pieces from women, not that easy to find. The first one, the prelude, was from a French Baroque composer Elizabeth Claude Jacquet de la Guerre, who was one of the few well-known women composers of her time. She played in front of the king. She played in the court. How many of you heard of her before today? Just curious. One, Malcolm. I didn't mean it that way, but Malcolm's a musical wizard. You might have heard of her contemporaries. Anybody heard of Vivaldi? Bum, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum, bum. Couperin, Scarlatti, yes, of course. And if you Google French Baroque composers, her name does not come up. You have to Google women who might have composed music, which is how Paula found her. Coming up, we have a piece by Fanny Mendelssohn. Ever heard of her? No. Yeah, maybe. You might have heard of her brother, Felix Mendelssohn, under whose name she published some of her early works. And later on, Suzanne Ciani is a sound designer who was pioneering champion of the Buchla synthesizer. Ever heard of it? It competed with the Moog synthesizer. Probably some of us have heard of that. So my point is, how many women have never been heard of, were never recognized, and we know nothing about them? So women's history is sort of makes me happy and sad at the same time. John Lennon and Yoko Ono wrote a song 40 years ago, but some of it's still relevant. And it was called "Woman is the Nigger of the World." Their words, not mine. Woman is the nigger of the world. Yes, she is. Think about it. If she's real, we say she's trying to be a man. While putting her down, we pretend that she is above us. We make her bear and raise our children, and then we leave her flat for being a fat old mother hen. We tell her home is the only place where she should be, and then we complain that she is too unworldly to be our friend. When she's young, we kill her will to be free. By telling her not to be so smart, we put her down for being so dumb. I remember as a girl pretending to be dumber than I was, or else I couldn't get a boy to go out with me. Don't care anymore. So while I'm heartened, well, I have a wonderful man who appreciates smart women. So while I'm heartened by how much progress we've made as women, we still see women's rights being compromised. Her right to earn a good wage, right to have control over her body, and her accomplishments diminished or even unrecognized, which makes me outraged and sad. When any people are oppressed or suppressed because of what they were born into, whether it's being black, a woman, a Native American, a Jew, a gay person, we are all diminished. What great ideas have died a-borning? What great book was never written? What gorgeous symphony will never be heard because someone wasn't recognized due to the accident of their birth? When any people are oppressed or suppressed, the only way to go is up. They must rise, and often with a helping hand. The youth poet laureate Amanda Gorman, she read a poem at the inauguration of President Joe Biden. In her poem, We Rise, she urges us all to help our sisters, help the women who have no voice or power. She wrote, "Today, everyone's eyes are on us as we rise. Today is the day women are paving the way, speaking our truth to power. In this hour, it is our duty to find the brave beauty in rooting for other women, so they too know we are not victims. We are victors, the greatest predictors of progress. We all leap forward when one woman tries, when she defies with her rallying cries, here lies, but does not rest, the best of tested women who call us to rise, speaking the truth in this finest hour, that to their own power, every single woman is entitled. It's how they empower others that makes women's voices so vital." And now, please rise in body and spirit and join me in reciting our covenant. I'll recite it in English, and Carla Espinoza, not Carla, in disguise as Diana Maya, will read it in Spanish. Please, we respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth, meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
Please be seated. We now enter into a very sacred time in our service, a time when members and friends share significant joys, sorrows, and concerns with their community. If you have one that you would like shared in an upcoming service, please email it to me. Or if you are on Zoom now, please type it into the chat. With each joy, sorrow, or concern, Marjorie will light a candle for us, indicating that that thought, that person, that prayer is with us all this morning. In the Talmud, you know it's written that when you share a joy, the pleasure is doubled. And when you share a sorrow, the pain is cut in half. And may it be so as we share this morning. Our first candle is one of concern for Cliff Duran. We heard just this morning from Julie that Cliff remains in ICU in the hospital here and is quite delirious and having real struggling at the moment. And so we want to send our prayers to Cliff and our prayers to Julie that for a very successful recovery and for support for them. We light a candle for Judy Rosenthal. She went to Mexico City she emailed me telling me she went to Mexico City for emergency surgery on Monday and was hoping that she would be back in San Miguel soon. I have not heard the outcome on that, but we want to light a candle for Judy Rosenthal and for quick recovery for her as well.
She's tested.
Okay. Marjorie tells me she had some testing that's going on, so let's pray for the best for her and send her our thoughts and prayers. Also, many of you wrote to light a candle for my partner, Malcolm Halliday, who was in the hospital this week. He had to go in and be admitted to get IV antibiotics because this dog attack that you heard about a few weeks ago, even though it had been healing, became severely infected and went systemic. So he's here this morning and doing better. Deanna Weiner asks us to light a candle for her friend, a young man in Florida who's lived his life in a wheelchair and now is experiencing a life-threatening condition. She asks for your prayers for him and for his family. And a couple of joys. First, yesterday was Jeannie Seward McGee's birthday, as several of you let me know. And I have to correct that because she says it's her continuation day. And we send you our best continuation day wishes. Also, a really great joy, as you just saw, Deanna Meyer is back with us after being on some medical leave. And I want to share with you that Deanna is a courageous person, and she has shared her journey with us. Deanna is bipolar, but she's done very well at dealing with that, and I wanted to, it's in the open, it's here, and we're so grateful that you are with us. Okay. Today, as we recognize the accomplishments of great women, we light this candle for all the women all over the world who are denied the equality, the basic rights, because they're women, and suffer threats, violence, and oppression. And several of you wish to light a candle of severe sorrow, really, for the passing, just I believe yesterday, of Anne Rufino, Joe Rufino's wife. You know them as their place as the pizza guy on the Ancha here. I've gotten several versions of the details, but evidently she had a condition that she was being treated for that had resulted in some paralysis and was undergoing what was thought to be a routine medical procedure, and she passed away unexpectedly. And I know that many of you, especially the members of the Rotary, are grieving her loss and want to support her husband Joe. So we light this candle in her memory and in support of Joe. Next, we light our blue and yellow candle, once again, now a year in passing, for the people of Ukraine and all the people who have been lost their lives, lost their family members, lost their homes as a result of the unjust and unprovoked war in the Ukraine. We also light a candle that recognizing that these have been stressful times of strong feelings and diverse opinions on ways that we move forward. That does not mean that we love each other less. Whatever path or past the future brings, it does not mean that we cannot be in right relationship with each other. And now our final candle, for all those joys, sorrows, and concerns that are held deep in our hearts but remain unspoken this morning. And I ask you to carry this all into a time of deep thought and meditation, but I want us to be guided by song. We all know Spirit of Life, written by a UU woman, by the way, and we'll sing it both in English and in Spanish with the help of Malcolm and Marjorie once again. You can remain seated for this because it's sort of a meditative kind of hymn. Words will appear here. If you want the notes, it's 123. Let us hold that in a moment of silence. Amen, and may it be so. As our bylaws ask us to do, at least once a year, we will formally welcome and recognize folks who've joined the fellowship this Sunday morning, who've joined over the past year or so. To become a member, you don't have to swear allegiance to a particular creed or set of beliefs. In most UU churches and fellowships, you simply sign a membership book or fill out a form, but joining is an indication that you are in sympathy with the values and the principles of this liberal faith tradition. It's that you wish to support the mission and the activities of this fellowship, and you wish to be involved in this beloved community. When you become a Unitarian Universalist, you are not asked to give up your beliefs or even change your beliefs, but to bring them here with you to enrich the fabric of this community, and with the support of others to travel on your own spiritual path, yet together in community. Today we're honored to recognize 31 new members of this fellowship, and we want to introduce them to you now. So Diego.
Hi, I'm Ann McAfee, new member. I'm from Northern California originally, specifically Mendocino County, although I grew up in and around San Francisco. My husband Wayne and I have been in San Miguel de Allende now for 2 years, having moved here full time. But we just recently bought and moved into a home in Ciudad. So we're out in Ciudad now for about 3 months. So we're really getting settled in. I've been a lifelong Unitarian Universalist. I was brought up in the San Francisco church, the first Unitarian church of San Francisco, from the age of about 6. I'm looking forward to getting to know people in the congregation. Looking forward to maybe participating in the care committee. I'm a retired registered nurse, so that is kind of up my alley. I do have a ton of experience in worship committee. I was a board member and chair of worship committee for about 5 years in a congregation. So I don't think I want to take on that amount of responsibility. That is every week. So anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm very excited to get to know and meet people. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Gina Montero. I'm a real estate agent at Keller Williams. I live permanently here in San Miguel de Allende, and I really enjoy coming and participating in the services. It's like I have found my spiritual home, and I'm looking forward to meet new people and participate in any kind of activities. I really enjoy this, and thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Alan Ziesman. I live full-time in San Miguel. I'm retired. My main interests are your looking water, and I really do like to be in the fellowship. I really do enjoy the activities, and I'm looking forward to meeting all kinds of people.
I'm Judy Holy, and I live in San Miguel for the last 25 years. And I've been attending the fellowship for about 3 months. And this is my first experience with the UUs. And I'm very, very happy. You're so inclusive, and all of the values and I've always been a helper. So it's lovely to have an organization that supports every level of helping. And I So myself, I look forward to helping with the care team. And I've lived in 5, 6, 7 countries and done a lot of volunteer work in the health field in all these countries. So it's wonderful now to be able to do this in Mexico.
My name is Bart Jarvis, and this is my lovely wife, Lourdes Leon.
Hi.
And you probably know her better than me since she's a lot less shy than I am. We've been attending, how long have we been attending?
Well, we live in San Miguel de Allende.
Yes.
In the we live in El Milagro right now. We're going to be moving into Los Frailes in a couple of months. And we have been attending this fellowship since July when we arrived.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is our lovely dog, Phoebe. Hello.
She's a very important member of the family.
So I have been, when I was growing up, I was in the Unitarian Church in Atlanta for several years as a youth. And then again, we lived in San Diego, which is where we just moved from. And we occasionally attended the UU in San Diego area. And Lourdes has never been in the UU before, although she did attend occasionally in San Diego. We're drawn to the fellowship because we really, first of all, like the UU thoughts and feelings and all the things that are attached to it and the belief systems. And also we wanted to meet a lot more people in the San Miguel area since we didn't really know anybody here. And we look forward to participating in the church in various ways. I know Lourdes has already been helping sometimes with interpreting, and we'll probably get on some boards or something. I don't know, but we look forward to supporting it, and also, of course, financially and just participating. You have anything else there?
Well, one of the reasons I love the UUs is because there is such a spirit of community. There's such interest in helping the local community, the Mexican community, and getting in touch with them and doing some things that are really, really transcendent and that will actually make a change, make a difference in their lives.
Hi, my name is Paula. I'm a new member of the UU congregation. I am very happy to be a new member. I am also very thankful to this community. I live here in San Miguel. I started coming over a year ago, more or less, on and off, thanks to Diego. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really excited about the next activities that I'll be able to be part of. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Steve Ham.
And I'm Joe Ham.
And we live in Bloomington, Indiana.
And Chicago.
And we've been coming to San Miguel since 1996. And our best friends here in the fellowship are Betsy Davies and Jim Harper.
And Betsy introduced us to the UU Fellowship and to many of the organizations which this group supports, such important ones.
Such as Patronato Pro Niños, Jóvenes Adelante, Feed the Hungry, and
also a couple of them very much in the tradition of our first friend here in San Miguel, Lucha Maxwell. For example, the School for the Deaf that was started by John Doherty, and also the Autism Center that Betsy talked about recently.
There's so much good that goes out from the fellowship into the larger community of San Miguel. We've been so fortunate that during COVID, we've been able to participate in UU services around the year. And it's been great to hear Sunday after Sunday Tom's sermons and the wonderful sessions given by other members of the congregation.
And the music, Steve.
We particularly love the music of Paula and Liz and Malcolm and Jerry and others. It's just been a great gift to us to have Zoom bring us together with San Miguel every week.
So we look forward to seeing you in August in person, but we'll be Zooming in until then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of our new members are shyer than others, so we didn't get a video from all of them, but I hope you will take the opportunity to welcome them. And now we have a little welcoming ceremony. And to assist in this ceremony, I'd like to ask Chris Chase, our head of membership, and Margot Johnson, our president, to join me up front, if you would. Chris, are you going to take the books and Margot the flowers? Okay. All right. For those new members that are here at the Aldea today and are willing to be recognized, I'd invite you to come forward now and just kind of put a line across the front. I hope some of you are here. I understand. Anyone who's here, please come on up. Great. Just kind of make a line right across the front if you would. By the way, bring up your order of service if you've got one. We can look at the screen as well, but if you have an order of service, bring it up. Great, thank you. Thank you, Paula. And those new members who are with us this morning on Zoom, the text is going to appear on the screen. It'll also appear for you, so if we don't have one, we can turn around and read. So I invite everyone to turn to the part in the order of service that says New Member Affirmation. And on Zoom, it should be appearing. There it is. Okay. And if you're a new member, if you would join me, I'll read with you that part. And I'm going to need to see through you. That's great. That's fine. Okay. And together, we join this Unitarian Universalist Fellowship as an affirmation of our willingness to participate in and support a religious organization whose members are dedicated to the quest for truth, freedom, and justice. We seek to understand and fulfill our potential by leading lives of integrity and service to others. We willingly join you in the continuing creation of this beloved community. Okay. Oops, sorry. I'm tripping over everyone today. Well, first, we're so glad to have you as part of this fellowship. There are so many opportunities to be involved, to find community, to meet your spiritual needs, to learn, to have fun, to serve others, to work for justice. So know that the ministry and the programs of this church, which continue to grow and expand, are here for you. Joining the fellowship is entering a new relationship, and like any positive relationship, it's a two-way street. The fellowship has a lot to give to you, but also you bring something special to us, and we're enriched by your presence here. Now, when members join a Unitarian Universalist congregation, it's traditional for the minister to give them a charge. I know that sounds kind of formal, but I charge you to explore, to find what interests you, supports you, gives meaning to your life. You can get involved to the degree you wish. The truest thing I can tell you about membership in this congregation is what you get out of a church or a fellowship is always in proportion to what you put into it. So welcome to this new relationship in your life and in the life of this congregation. May it be rich and productive for both of us. And now I'd like to have Chris lead the congregation in their response.
Our community is blessed by your presence. May it be for you and for all a cradle of new dreams, a workshop of our common endeavor, and a home for spiritual growth and human understanding.
Thank you. Now, is a little recognition. Margot, where are you? Have you got some flowers? You got to... Okay, well, let's come across. So, little token, we're giving you a little packet, a welcome packet, which has a pocket guide to Unitarian Universalism with it, and a few other little items that you might find welcoming, brochures to read and so forth. And we're also giving you a flower. It's often said that giving a person a flower is a symbol of giving them a world more perfect, if you could. So once everyone gets a flower and a gift, I would invite all of us to welcome them with applause. Here we go. Oh, good. And we understand that Raven has been with us this morning on Zoom, and I don't know which others have been, and I know I'm giving Diego a heart attack moving around all the time trying to follow me. But all of those that you're on Zoom, we feel your participation in this as well. And anybody who isn't here today, whether they're on Zoom or just not able to attend, will get one of these welcome packets somehow delivered to them, either in person or through the mail or however we can work it out. And thank you. You can all be returned to your seats. It's time to sing again. And I'm inviting you to sing about our long and rich tradition. It's hymn number 287 in the gray hymnal. The words will appear up here, Faith of the Larger Liberty. Please rise as you're able and join in singing. Well, at the opening of our service, Marjorie read We Rise by Amanda Gorman. Wouldn't it be wonderful, being Women's History Month, if some great woman from our past could rise and join us? That's my wish this morning.
Reverend Rosiello, your wish has been granted.
Well, I believe it's Margaret Fuller. Miss Fuller, is that really you?
Yes, Reverend Rosiello, 'tis I. And I'm very interested in this Ms. thing you called me. You know, in my day, you were either Miss or Mrs., and that never suited me very well. From an early age, I felt that I was not born to the common womanly lot. So yes, you may call me Ms.
Well, Ms. Fuller, would you like to take our pulpit?
How do I look? Men are sometimes a wee bit slow.
Well, Ms. Fuller.
Yes.
I have to say, you are looking remarkably well for 214 years old.
Thank you.
And how did you get here?
Well, I was a transcendentalist back in New England, and we believed, a few of you here, each individual soul was part of a universal soul, and when we die, our soul returns to the oversoul, and that's where I've been. It's quite an amazing place. You get to view the earth and see what's going on.
Well, let's talk about your life. You were born, I think, in Cambridgeport, Massachusetts in 1810.
Yes.
And I've heard that your father was a major influence on you. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, he was very disciplined and forced all his children to be educated and rigorous about knowledge. I was reading Virgil when I was 5 years old. Alas, as a woman, my educational opportunities were limited, but I did help send 2 of my brothers to Harvard, and that institution later let me in, to their library. The first woman to sully the hallowed halls.
Well, I'm sure it was that interest in learning that led you to be a teacher. Could you talk about that a bit?
Yes, well, being from New England, I lived near the Alcotts, and I taught at Bronson Alcott School in Boston. Some of you, I think, heard of his daughter, Louisa May Alcott. Lovely girl, very, very talented novelist.
And I hear you also knew Ralph Waldo Emerson. What was your relationship like with him?
Mr. Emerson, yes. He was a great man, full of new ideas. He and some of his friends formed a club called the Transcendental Club, and I was the only woman member. I could hold my own with those men. They even made me the editor of the magazine, The Dial. I don't want to brag, but I know all the people in America, and I found no intelligence comparable to my own. I was great friends with Emerson. We both had a strong intellectual and emotional connection. I was single and he was married, but alas, his wife did not share his passions. We shared so much, you know, but a woman never tells tales out of school.
Well, as a woman, I'm sure you faced some unique challenges, and I know you were committed to the cause of women's equality. Can you tell us about how you worked in that area?
Well, Reverend Rosiello, speaking of women's equality, look how many women have risen up. We have them in the U.S. Congress, in the Senate, as vice president, in the Supreme Court, foreign prime ministers around the world. And as for your question on women's equality, I also wrote the very first book advocating for the equality of women in America. It was called Women in the 19th Century. Oh, by the way, you can still buy my book on that thing you have called Amazon. What a wonderful name, Amazon. But anyway, in my book, I argue that women are equal to men, but they're treated inequitably. And I was also wrote in the book about my hope that African Americans would be freed from slavery someday. We will definitely inherit the earth when we become an elevated being interested in divine love. And I believe the abolitionists practice that divine love, and many of them are part of this group. But the book focuses on the equality of women. Each person must be an individual and self-independent unit. Man needs to remove his dominating influence, and we need to claim ourselves as self-dependent and removed from man's influence. Men and women's definitions are not so rigid, I believe. I firmly believe there is no holy masculine man and no holy feminine woman. And in modern times, I'm delighted to see that you better recognize the complexity and nuances of gender.
Did you share these ideas with other women at your time?
Oh yes, I was committed to do so. I held many salons for women called conversations, where women were encouraged to share their ideas. It allowed them to think for themselves and speak their mind. And on one occasion, Mr. Emerson even showed up. But as he often did, he overtook the conversation. He hardly let the women talk, and he had to be reminded that the women were here to share their ideas and hear me speak and not him.
Hard to believe that a man would interrupt a woman.
Indeed.
Moving on with your life, I understand that journalism became your profession. Can you tell us about that career?
Yes, I became a writer for the Universalist Horace Greeley. Some of you may have heard of him, the New York Tribune. And another great figure from our past. Oh, perhaps you should conjure him up someday, but not during Women's History Month. Thank you very much. Those men get credit all the time. And along with Mr. Edgar Allan Poe, I was one of America's great literary critics. I know I'm not very modest, but women have to toot their own horn sometimes, don't we? Then I became the first American woman foreign war correspondent, and I was sent to cover the Italian Revolution.
Can you tell us about your time in Rome?
Yes, I went there in 1847. Your name, Rosiello, that's Italian, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, I was covering the revolution, and I met another wonderful man, Count Asole, and we had a child together, my little boy, Angelino, we called him. We had to say we were married, of course, for propriety's sake. Perhaps we were, perhaps we weren't. Again, women never tell tales. Sadly, in 1850, we decided to return home to the United States with our son. Things were getting difficult in Italy. I had a terrible premonition. I wrote to a friend, I have a vague expectation of some crisis. I know not what. I have a very bad feeling about sailing back to the States. And as we boarded our ship Elizabeth, I tried to get off, but Count Asole made me change my mind. So we didn't. We got on the boat. Sadly, our boat sank 50 yards from the shores of Long Island. Just as we were going down, I handed my baby to a sailor, hoping he could be saved. But alas, he wasn't. And we all drowned. And a lot of my work was lost. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, with bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. I rise. I rise.
Thank you. supposed to follow that. What a beautiful day and what a glorious service all you hardworking people have put on. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. Good morning. My name is Michael Murphy. I'm a member of the Social Action Committee. And I think it's important for you to know that the offering that you're about to make today supports not only the ongoing expenses for our fellowship, but also allows us to support a number of nonprofits here in San Miguel who work hard to help the less fortunate people in our Mexican community. I would like to briefly tell you about one of the nonprofits that we support. This is the School for the Deaf that was mentioned earlier. The mission of the Deaf School is to ensure that all San Miguel children who are deaf become literate, independent, productive citizens, and who set and achieve life goals. In our state of Guanajuato, there is no money to support deaf children in our public schools, so a deaf child will be put in the corner and given no help. In the campo, where there is a large family, both parents need to work every day just to be able to feed their family. If there is no one to watch the deaf child, they have had to tie the child to a chair or a bed just to keep the child safe. These are smart, talented children, but they have no way to express themselves or understand what others are saying. Now we have the School for the Deaf, and the school teaches the children the Spanish Sign Language, Spanish, and takes them through elementary, middle, and high school. The school also teaches the children a number of trades, like woodworking, jewelry making, and sewing, giving these children a trade that allows them to be a productive part of their family and the community. See if I can get through this last piece. There's an extraordinary story at the school this year. One deaf girl has just finished college. And she will return to the school to be a teacher. What a role model for the other children to be able to let them understand that they can be all that they can be. All right? So as our ushers pass the basket, we invite you to donate generously today. You can also donate online, and the information on how to do that will show on the screen. Thank you for your generous support. The offering will now be collected and be very generously received. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to those who joined us via Zoom and were with us in that way as well. And a special thank you to Marjorie for helping to bring us a piece of Unitarian history, actually. Some of you are attending the course I'm teaching, Intro, sort of UU 101, every Tuesday afternoon, 2 to 4. It's 3 sessions. We're in the second one. There was some confusion. If it's at my home in Los Frailes, 2 to 4, if there are other people who would like to come, just send me an email or even just come, because there was some confusion about the last class. Actually, this week we'll be talking about the very period that Marjorie comes out of in terms of UU history. Not Marjorie, Margaret comes out of. We'll get to your period with the modern times in the next class. But anyway, just remind you of that as well. Hear these words of the late Unitarian Universalist minister Barbara Peskin. Because of those who came before us, we are. Because of the horizons of their visions, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to live mightily, and to bow to the mystery. Now Marjorie will extinguish the flame we kindled at the start of this service, but not the light of love, of truth, the light of our tradition, the light of peace and justice. Those we carry with us as our guide for the week ahead. And may peace be with us till we meet again.